Welcome to Crazy Canadian Killers. My name is Catherine. Today our story takes us to St. John, New Brunswick. St. John was established on May 18th, 1785, the second largest city in the province with a population of around 70,000 people. St. John is known for its tourism. It has been a cruise ship destination since 1989 and receives around 80 cruise ships annually. Moosehead Breweries Limited is Canada's oldest independent brewery, which was founded in 1867 and is owned and operated by the Oland family in the St. John's area. It generates around $300 million annually. On July 7th, 2011, almost 24 St. John police officers showed up at one of the bloodiest crime scenes of their careers at 52 Canterbury Street in the historic uptown district of St. John at the office of Far End Corporation on the second floor. Maureen Adamson, a secretary employed at the office, noticed the door was ajar. She opened the door and was hit with a terrifically vile smell. She set her coffee down on the desk, and then she noticed the legs of her boss, 69-year-old Richard Olin, laying on the floor. Richard Olin had been the previous vice president of Moosehead Breweries, and his estate was worth $35 million. Richard was lying face down by his desk. His skull had been shattered by repeated blows from a weapon that supposedly was never found, and there was a large pool of blood surrounding the upper half of the body. There were 45 wounds to Richard's hands, neck, and head. 6 of these wounds were found on Richard's hands, trying to protect himself from his attacker. The attack had continued after Richard was defenseless on the floor. His skull had suffered catastrophic damage. The bones of his eye sockets were like a cracked eggshell. Portions of brain matter were found on Richard's back. The attack had left Richard's blood on every wall in his office. Blood spatter was seen on his desk, computer, chair, filing cabinets, and on an empty pizza box in the garbage can. Blood had also soaked through 3 layers of flooring, soaking the ceiling of the office below. In 1865, Susanna Oland and her husband John moved from England to Nova Scotia, Canada. Susanna opened the Army and Navy Brewery in 1867. In 1870, the brewery changed its name to S. Olin Sons and Company. The company recovered from 2 fires until Susanna died in 1886. The company went to her 2 sons, Conrad and George, whom changed its name to the Maritime Brewing and Malting Company. The Halifax explosion of 1917, although, had killed Conrad Olin and destroyed the brewery. In 1928, George bought a brewery in the city of St. John, New Brunswick, which is the site of the present-day facility. In 1931, the symbol of the moose began after its success of the brewery's Moosehead Pale Ale, and changed its name to Moosehead Breweries in 1947. In 1978, the brewery launched Moosehead Lager in the United States. In 1982, Moose was expanded worldwide. In 1961, Philip Oland took over as president, and he had 2 sons, Derek and Richard, who also worked as executives within Moosehead. Philip died in 1996, but before passing, he gave the presidency reins of Moosehead to the eldest son, Derek, instead of Richard, thus causing a rift between the 2 brothers. Richard left Moosehead in 1981 and went on to found trucking companies and an investment firm. He also headed numerous charities, helped bring the Canada Games to St. John's in 1985. Richard was born in 1941. He went to Rothsay Collegiate School, Regiopolis College, and the University of New Brunswick, obtaining a certificate of brewing technology. He married Constance Connell in 1965, and they went on to have 3 children, Elizabeth, Jacqueline, and Dennis. Richard was at one point diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Richard's family was brought into the police station to give their statements. Connie reported that on July 6, 2011, Richard then left the home for the office at 10 a.m., and that was the last time Connie spoke with him. Connie said it was not uncommon for Richard not to return to the residence at night, as he was engaged in an 8-year-long affair with a real estate agent named Diana. They were due to go to Portland, Maine on the day Richard was killed. His daughter Lisa Bustin said that her father could have had anyone as an enemy, as he was a hard-nosed businessman. His son Dennis's interview lasted over 5 hours. Dennis owed his dad money. Dennis had crippling debt and owed his father $500,000 due to a divorce. He had asked his father for a bailout that night. Dennis believed that his father had high expectations of him and that he was not meeting those expectations. Maureen had stated Dennis walked into the office when she was leaving at 5:45 p.m. to see his father, making him the last person to see Richard alive. Dennis was informed that he was the primary suspect of his father's murder. Dennis phoned his attorney, who told him to stop talking to the police. Dennis repeated that he did not murder his father. Police allowed Dennis to leave just after 11 p.m. without making an effort to seize the clothes Dennis said he had worn the day before. There was a search of Dennis's home and of his car, but no blood or DNA was detected. They did not find blood or DNA in the laces, stitching, or tread of any of the 6 pairs of shoes seized from Dennis's home, nor in the red reusable grocery bag Dennis had used to carry genealogy books into Richard's office on the day before his death. And they did not find any blood in the keys of Dennis's BlackBerry cell phone. But on Dennis's brown jacket, they identified 5 reddish spots invisible to the naked eye. The jacket was sent to the RCMP lab on November 25, 2011. 4 spots on the jacket were confirmed to be blood that matched Richard's DNA. 2 men were in the print shop below Richard's office the night he was killed, had told police they'd heard loud thumps and bumps between 7:30 and 8 p.m. That alone should have been enough to clear Dennis, who was seen on security footage at a convenience store in Rossay at the time, but one of the men later changed his count to sometimes between 6 and 8 p.m., and if that time were correct, then Dennis could have been there. In November 2013, Dennis Olen was charged with second-degree murder for the death of his father. Dennis entered a plea of not guilty. With about 5,000 prospective jurors being summoned, it became the largest jury pool in New Brunswick's history. Jury selection was held in the nearby hockey arena. Dennis Olen's trial was the longest in the province's history at 65 days in length. Dennis Olen was convicted of second-degree murder in December 2015 and sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for at least 10 years. He was sent to the Atlantic Institution at Renew to begin his sentence. On July 19, 2019, although, after an appeal due to an error in the judge's instructions to the jury, Dennis Olen was found not guilty on retrial. The St. John Police Force has no plans to reopen the case. The Olen family continues to offer a reward for any information on Richard Olen's slaying. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Catherine, and this is Crazy Canadian Killers. Please feel free to subscribe as I try to put out a new video every week, and hit the like button as it helps with my exposure. See you in the next case.